This video is going to be about working on this explosion chamber. This is for the Mery engine, and what happens, why they call it an explosion chamber, is the ignition is actually inside the intake chamber, and then the cylinder is over here, so it explodes inside of here as well as pushing the piston down. Now, the valve, the intake valve, is in the center there. It comes out here. So what I have to do is drill through here and come out in the right spot there. That's sometimes not too easy, but I have a little tool that'll help me do that. Now, also, this is a tapered hole, so it has to be done in a force jaw so I can make that tapered afterwards, and it has to be in this way. I would prefer to drill it this way and do everything this way, but I have to do it with this because that's way inside the chuck and I wouldn't know where it came out. So the method that I'm going to use is two-hole method. I'm going to drill through squarely on this side and on that side, and they'll meet, but they won't be perfect. But then if I run a bigger drill through, it'll straighten it out, and hopefully that'll work. So if Jim show you the print here, as you can see, this hole has to go straight through, and this is a taper. If that wasn't a taper, it'd be a lot easier. But we can do that, and we'll just put it in a four jaw. And this hole here, I have never figured out what that's for, and I see everybody has it plugged, so I'm not even going to bother with that one. But what we're going to do today is get this chamber and the valve seat on there, and ream that out for a bushing. So the first thing I'm going to do is drill this hole in about halfway that way, and then drill this one in the other way. And like I said, they won't meet exactly, but I'm going to run a larger drill through, and that'll straighten them out. Got to go that way a little bit. Okay, I've got the two prick punch marks. I'm putting in a spotting drill. I'm going to spot both sides and then take a 1/8 drill and drill halfway through with each. Well, that marked pretty good for the center there. And now I'm going to do the valve stem. So now we're going to go in with a 1/8 drill. And the first hole will go about 700 thousandths deep, so I got to set my dial indicator here so I can get 700 thousandths. Now I'm going to drill through from this side and hope they come somewhere as near the same spot. They were marked with the height gauge. Now, as you can see, the hole is through there. Now we're going to go to a bigger drill. I'll turn the vise this way this time. Go to a 5/32. That hole is going to end up 3/16 or more in the end of it for the bushing. But first I have to get it in straight this way so I can put it in the four jaw chuck. Now see, that came a little bit off center, but that's not going to matter because it's just the valve comes out there and the spring can be off center a little bit, but that's as close as I can get it. Now I'm going to put on the four jaw and come in and grab this. Now as you can see, hopefully I can put that in the four jaw and it'll be perfectly aligned with that hole. I'm not sure. it'll stay there or not, but we're going to try it. The reason I'm not going all the way in is I want to hold it in the position of that drill, not force it with the vise into some wrong angle. Just make sure that goes in and out of there easy. That looks good. Okay, so that's solid. Now what I can do is drill the hole for the, drill and ream the hole for the bushing that's the valve guide. Okay, shut it off. So that drill appears to be wobbling a little bit. So what I'm going to do is go in there and bore that hole so it starts absolutely straight, because the valve stem has to be absolutely perfect. So it's very hard to see inside of there where I'm starting. I'm just trying to find the edge of that hole. What I'm trying to do is get the tool to hit the edge of the hole. I should be able to hear that now. Now let's see if it'll go in there. That was a number 3 drill I ran in there. Now I'm going to run in a 7/32 reamer. I'm not happy with that. I could barely see this thing at the end. It was wobbling just a tiny bit. So I'm going to have to bore that hole a little bigger and just make the bushing a little bigger. I think I'm going to try it with that reamer. Start it in there and drill it the rest of the way. That looks like it might do it. Let's try a little cut here and see what it does. It's working. Now, you have to see what size hole I have there now. You see what So what I have now is a hole that's 2/28. Exactly. And a number 1 reamer is what? 2/28. I went in as deep as I could. Now I can ream that 2/28. Boy, that's just exactly right. I just stopped just in time there. This is a 2/28 plug gauge, and it just starts in there. So I'm going to drill through there the number 2 drill. Just cut in the very end there, cut a little bit. So I should be able to put this reamer in there. The diameter of that hole doesn't matter because I'm going to put a bushing in there for the valve stem, but it has to be absolutely straight. And now it is absolutely straight. Now what I got to do is do the taper part. I'm going to do this taper part here. Now this bottom part really has no function except when you have the intake valve hole open or hold closed. I'm not sure which it is, but we're not even doing this. This is going to be a 4-cycle engine running on propane, and nobody that I've seen has used this at all. So And that's the intake valve, by the way. So what I've got to do is do this taper hole, and I can go down all the way to here if I wanted to, but I'll only go about that deep because I just got to get down below that threaded inlet where the intake comes in. This is the bottom of the chamber. So I'm going to measure the distance that I want to go in there using the dial indicator. I'm going to go in 3/4 of an inch. Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 750. Okay, that's the bottom of the hole. So what I'm going to do is, I can't set the stop here because I'm not moving the carriage. What I'm doing is moving the compound. So what I got to do is make a mark on that tool so I know approximately when I'm that deep. I'm just putting a little mark on there. We're going to set this at 3 degrees.
Take a minute here.
Set the compound at 3 degrees. Okay, that's all set. Now the bottom of the hole is 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go in there with a 3/8 drill for 3/4 of an inch. And that'll be the end of my, that'll be the end of the taper. I want to make sure this is almost all the way back because I've got to go in 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so I'm going to lock that. Locking the carriage so that that can't move. Now, when I go in with this, I have no way of knowing that I get to the bottom except when I hit the bottom of that drill hole. I should be able to tell by the sound when it gets in there. Start off here. Actually, I could do this. I can crank this in, put a mark on the compound. There's the bottom right there. I'm just going to put a piece of tape on the compound so I know exactly where the stop is. Bottom of the hole, so I'm just going to put this piece of tape on here so that I know about where it is. It's right on the edge of there. I'm going to come back out. I should count here how many turns I do, but I can't really see in the hole. Oh, I'm out now. Okay. Take a cut of 20 for the first cut. That shouldn't go anywhere near the bottom. Take another 20. This time I'm going to take 15 because it's almost all the way in there. Okay, the next problem is the valve seat. I put this on 0 here. So that's the in and out. So now I'm going to take this out. Make sure it's all the way out of the hole. So if I back this out 20, that should hit that. I'll go 30. Okay, I'm going to zero this. What I've done is hit the bottom of the part before, right in front of the hole.
Can I still
Let me
see?
show you what I'm going to do. And what I've got is a tapered hole here. It goes down in. And what I've got to do is right here, I want to put the valve seat, which is only about 20 thousandths wide. And it's got to be at 45 degrees. So what I have to do is determine if this is the hole here, and this is the tool is hitting here, I have to put that across at 45 degrees. So what I do is bring in the tool in so it hits the bottom, hits the stock here. Let me see if I can do this. So it hits here, and then I know at this point is zero, because I zeroed it when I made the last cut. Actually, that's a tapered hole, isn't it? Right. So I made the last cut, and I took this out of there and I marked it at 0. So I know that this is 0. So if I pull it back 20 thousandths, and crank the compound in at 45 degrees, it should give me about a 20 thousandths, at least a 20 thousandths seat, because this is shorter than that. It's going to give me maybe, I probably ought to only go back about 15. So if we pretend this is the part, and that's going to be the valve seat, if I measure here, it's 2 7/8, and here it's 2 7/8. So I measure here, it's actually 3. It's not exactly 7/8, but it's about the same thing. So this is 1/2 longer than that. Yeah, 50. This is 50% longer than that. So if I come out here 20 thousandths, and I'm going in on a 45 degree angle, I should end up with a 30 thousandths seat. So if I come out 15 thousandths, I should end up with a 22 thousandths, 22.5 thousandths seat. What I'm going to do is go in there on a 45 degree angle, and it should be just exactly right for a 20 to 25 thousandths seat. I'm going to hit the tool here, bring it back here, 20 thousandths, and then I'm going to go in on a 45 degree angle, and that should give me the seat. So I've got to get these things zeroed. That's touching. And that's 0. Okay, I'm going to back that off. I go in here to 0, and that should go by now. So I'm going to set up the compound at 45 degrees here, and reposition the tool, which is going to take off my 0. I forgot about that. Now I have to reestablish the 0. And all I'm going to do is put this tool here and unlock this. Got to unlock the carriage and reestablish the 0. Okay, first I have to flatten off the valve seat. So I'm going to crank this in here inside the hole. Go in about 20 thousandths. Now what I have is a flat all the way across. And it's right here. Set that at 0 again. Crank that in till it falls in the hole. It's extremely hard to see in there. That's the rim of the seat. That's 0. Okay. Now I got to get inside of that so it moves in. I got to determine where 0 is here. As you can see, this is pretty hard to do when you can't see it. So I'm going to come back 15 degrees. Set this on 0. Lock the table. It doesn't sound right. It wasn't right. Screwed it up completely. So after all that work, you see I screwed up on the last part. I didn't have the tool in the right place and I gouged the hole bigger. Not only that, but look where this came out on the other side. I don't know why. I did everything I possibly could to keep that straight and it came out on the side. So what do I do now? Throw this away? No, I can fix it. So the way I'm going to fix this is with this. This is a valve seat for this, as you can see, that will fit right down inside of there. And it's much easier to make this perfect than it is to try to get this perfect with that. When you can't really see what you're doing, you're way down in there and you got to cut a 20 thousandths valve seat. I'm sorry, it's very hard to do. And I screwed it up. So the answer is to saw this off, bore a hole down through there that'll fit this, and then silver braze that in there. And then I just have to put a piece on. As you see, I've already done this one because I screwed this one up too. And that block has to be silver brazed on there at the same time, and that'll be the intake. And that'll be the finished product. And as you can see, now I can smooth off all these parts. I don't have to grind them and finish them. I can do them in the milling machine, except for this little part down in here, and I think I'm just going to leave that because you won't see it. This is the spark plug hole. So now I would just put this in the miller and finish that off all the way across there, nice and flat. And on the inside, do the same thing. Just finish the inside off flat and square. So here it is with both sides smooth, and you have to take a little off the edge there so it'll drop in. That goes in there nicely, I hope. I got it in right? Yeah, I had it in right. Just fits in there exactly. And when I put that piece on there, it'll be look just like the other one. It won't look any different. Nobody will be able to tell. And I'm going to show you how to make this chamber, how much easier it is to make the chamber when it's a round piece. Okay, I'm just going to spot drill that, get the center, and I'm putting the drill in as far as I can in the chuck, and I bring this up as close as possible. That way I don't have it hanging way out, and it's a better center. So the first thing I'm going to do is drill a large hole, which is 3/8 in diameter and 3/4 of an inch deep. So I'm going to step it up from the 3/8, 3/4 deep. Jim can speed this up real fast. There's probably no reason to do this because I'm going to bore that afterwards. So I'm going to go a little faster with this stepping up. Now I'll put the boring bar in there and set this back to 3 degrees again. As you can see, it's a lot easier to do this because I can see what I'm doing. It's not inside of a casting. Okay, I'm going to screw that in till I hit the bottom so I'll know where I am again. Okay. I'm just using the same piece of tape that I used on the other one. Lock the table, lock the carriage. Just going to use the compound for this. I'm just going to measure that, make sure it's about right. Should be about a 1/2 inch diameter. Another 10. Okay, now we can see where the valve seat is. No problem. So that was my last cut. I have to set it at 45 first. Actually, I set it at 45. So I can actually see what I'm doing now, so I don't have to do all that fiddling around. Just moving this out slowly at a time and going back and forth until I hit it. There it is. So now I'm going to go about 5 thousandths. We'll go about another 2. There's the valve seat. As you can see, if Jim can get in close here. Okay, you can see this nice valve seat there, and you don't want a wide valve seat because it'll leak, and you're going to lap it in. So the narrower the better. I usually go for 15 to 20 thousandths, certainly not over 30. Perfect. So now if everything went right, the point of that 3/8 drill is the center of the hole. So I don't have to recenter it, and I'm going to go through there with a 1/8 bit. It should be pretty centered. And then I'm going to go in there with a boring bar and just square it up just a little bit just to make sure that it's perfect. You should always do that when you're doing valves, because the valve has to center on the valve seat, otherwise you're going to have a leak. So let's see what happens. If that's not centered, it'll wobble, the drill will wobble. I can see a tiny variation there. So what I'm going to do is put a center drill in there, recenter it, a spotting drill, go in as far as I can. Actually, if I just put this in loose, push the thing in. Okay, right there. Lock this tight. Okay, I don't see any wobble there at all, and I'm going in quite a bit with that spotting drill, so you can see it cut pretty well. So now the 1/8 should be almost perfectly aligned. And I think I have to go another 3/4 of an inch. To be safe, I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. I'm just going to drill to the bottom with a 3/16 drill. Not going to force it, just go right in there nice and easy. Okay, now just center the hole with the boring bar. This tiny boring bar will go in a 3/16 hole, no problem. Okay. I have to readjust the height of this. Okay, so now I've got a hole down here that I can't see, and I want this to be a little bit above the center, so I have to use the gauge here, bring that up to the center. And I'm inside the hole now, and I'm just going to bring it out till I hear it cutting. Hear that? That's cutting. No, it isn't cutting too big. I can't see in there, so I'm going to take a plug gauge and see how big that hole is. It's almost no play at all. The hole is 205 now, and it seems to be almost perfect. You can see that's running true. That's what I want. It means that the bore has squared the hole up exactly. Now I can go back in there with a drill. 7:30 seconds is 205. So the reamer would fit. 7:30 seconds reamer. It's in there. I'm going to go a little deeper on that because I had a little extra, maybe 20,000, but I want a little more than that. 15/64. I'm going to run a number 3 drill in there and then ream it to 7:30 seconds. So that's reamed out for the bushing. Now the next thing is to do the outside. 60,000, I'm going to leave it sticking up 60 thousandths in that casting. 1/16, 62 and a half. 50,000 steep. Now we got to set this back to 3 degrees and do the outside of this. That was all 3 degrees. Just you're using a round point bit for this. So the first taper is 7/8 down from here. This isn't real critical, but try the best I can to get it right. So I have to go at least to there. And what I'm trying to reproduce is what this was before I sawed it off. So actually this part is a little shorter. That's got to be 100 thousandths. There's some thickness to the casting, so it goes in about this far. So that's about right. Gotta go a little further down. Gotta get that down to about 390. 500. Gotta go another 100. 50 thousandths to go. That should do it. Gotta put the taper on it. So this is 1 inch, 300 thousandths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just gonna mark that. A little more here. At 3 degrees. Yep, that should do it. We take and smooth that up a little bit with the file. We got it. Now all I have to do is put the bushing in it, like this one, and I've cut it. So now all I have to do is flatten this off and bore the hole through there, and I'll just drop that piece in there and that'll be finished. We got the boring bar in there. I gotta measure the hole before I bring this over and see how much bigger I gotta make it. I'm just gonna get a rough center on this. Wow, that's pretty good. We got plenty to go here. Oh yeah. That should be pretty close. Oh, you know what I can do? Put the part in backwards. Now, I have no clearance here. I'm going to give it a little clearance. It's hitting.
Wow.
Perfect.
Wow.
Nice fit. So I'm going to have to open that up just a tiny bit to get that in there. But I have to grind the sides off of here, 2 flats, so that it will go down the sidewall. So the only rim will be there, and that won't interfere with the valve seat at all. So I ground a flat on either side here, so that'll drop right down in there now, if I do it right. And I'll just silver braze it, and I'm going to silver braze the other part on here at the same time. A little square piece that I had, and a concave cut on it so it fits right on there. And I'll solder that all at one. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. So even if you screw these up, you can fix them. I've found a few castings that I just went right ahead and did them the way that I wanted to, because I make a lot of parts out of bar stock anyway. So I've actually made this whole thing out of bar stock, and I made it in 2 pieces. That's why I knew about this. I'll show you the other engine next week. It's 25% smaller than the real Mery, and I want to thank you for watching. And if you liked what you saw, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.